So thank you for your interest in participating or contributing to the Sacred Ecologist Commission. And I just wanted to start off by telling you a little bit about it. So when I think of it that it has three elements. So the first element is I'm creating a series of 4 sculptures that are essentially 4 islands, forming this kind of marine installation along the coastline of Margate to Broadstairs. And this installation, in my mind, is almost like an archipelago. I can't say that word that well. It's almost like an archipelago of of journeys and stories and biographical experiences as I've grown up, and my engagement with Margate, coming up here from Caribbean heritage and community. And Margate became a surrogate space for us. It became a place that was as close to the Caribbean as we were going to get. So, these were migrating and coastal communities trying to find another place to identify as home. And it also surrounds ideas of allyship with nature, and how different ecological perspectives are formed. And as I've grown up and embraced from early, I think, because my family were very, very strong on your heritage, British and Bajan. So mum's from Barbados, my dad was English, from Sussex. And this has informed so much of who I became and who I am. So I've been travelling between the Caribbean and the UK all my life. And so many of those stories and those biographical experiences are wrapped up in these islands, in these kind of, in these isles of memory. And further to that, I think that brings us to kind of present day, and this year with COVID, and what was a major inspiration for this installation is that, this year, as our territories became really, really confined, really small, I found that I re-established my relationship with the natural environment near me. So there's woodlands, there's acres of woodlands actually, and common and rivers, and I've walked the land, I've walked these paths now so many times, and every time I did that, I deepened my connection. I then I found myself walking when it was just to work at ideas, not just to as a way for exercise or to manage my mental health and well-being, which it really does help me balance it. And as my connection with these spaces deepened, so did my investment within them, and my whole kind of framing of what these spaces are to me has changed with it. So this leads us on to, I think, the second element of the commission, which is the engagement programme. So a big part of my practice is engagement with its communities, natural environment. I love getting to know people and hearing their stories, their lived experience, sourcing historical narratives, testimonies, all these different kinds of things, because I think in the place where things are happening, that's where the intimacy is. That's the sensuality of the story, and the ideas and the vitality and the veracity of people's experiences and just of life, really. So what I'm asking, I guess, is for you, if you'd like to, is to, when next time you go on a walk, if you already are, if you ever are someone that likes to go walking, or if not so much, to take a walk. It can be the place that you already know, that you maybe have walked thousands of times before, or it could be a place that you always thought that, I'll get there eventually. But whatever it is, and within these times with COVID restrictions and tears and all this kind of thing, take that walk, but try to reframe or reorient that space. So, for example, where the coastlines are, where you have in Margate, it's just absolutely stunning. So what about if we kind of reframe that relationship? So we think of the coastline or the sea, change that, imagine that it's if it's a community, what is your relationship to that community? Are you an ally to it? Are you a member of that community? Are you distanced from it and see yourself as 2 separate entities that rarely engage? Is it marginalised? Is it disenfranchised? Is it thriving? Is it a cultural hub? Is this one of the key kind of indicators and representations of diversity in your area? How is it being impacted? How is it being impacted by COVID? All these different kinds of ideas of kind of reframing the places where you visit. But in addition to that is when we walk, our minds are nebulous. So we go all over the place, don't we? And you come up with stories or remember things and reconnect with memories or people or the conversations that you have. So what I'd love for you to do, and what I've been doing, when I'm hopefully shared some of some examples, is that, say, if you have your phone with you, I may film parts of it. I may film the conversation. I may film myself if I've had a particular idea or something's really intrigued me. I take photographs. I collect things. So, you know, when I was on the coastline, I was collecting like old fishing nets and, you know, shells and seaweed and a couple coffee jars of sand, as well as, like, I don't know, like flyers, you know, free newspapers. I've picked rubbish, you know, like sweetie packets off the floor or out of the sea and things that I've then shrunk and I've used in the sculptures. So there's all different kinds of things. Whatever just takes your notice and your imagination, and bring those things with you, bring them together. I mean, after the walk, if you want to write things down, another thing that I do is, like, say, especially if I've been walking with a friend, I'll write down all the topics that we've discussed or try to remember them afterwards. And that in itself is almost like a poem, you know, a piece of kind of, you know, a literary piece, or you can write poetry, or you can just write an account or talk about the experience that a narrative that has come to you, or maybe it's, you know, it's remembering in a different way a lived experience or your own stories, and we'd love for you to share those with us. And the other part of the engagement programme is what we'd like to do is that we're going to be, and I believe it's the 14th of January, we're going to be holding studio sessions whereby we're going to invite makers and artists and different people. But if you're doing these walks, we'd love for you to come along as well. Bring those materials with you, those photographs, those films, you know, these pieces, and let's see what we can make together, and share our stories and experiences of it. And, you know, we widen this kind of living knowledge through us as a network, through us as a community, of our spaces, and how much that stretches out, how wide that web is actually, and from that virtual studio session, which, if you don't mind, we will be recording so we can share it with others. We hope that maybe it may inform your own creative practice, or deepen maybe your engagement, or kind of spark ideas from what we've had in conversation, for your own practice or your mental health and well-being. As I've said, that's a major thing for me, is my art practice, and my engagement walking or anything else is a way that I kind of manage my mental health. And, you know, if key kind of iconography kind of comes up, the final part, or the third element of this commission, is a graphic novella. And so this graphic novella is going to chart this story of how this marine installation, this marine, you know, this archipelago, was created along the Margate coastline. That's going to be documented in these 4 films. So basically it's the beginning and the end of the walk, of the journey of this commission for myself, and the interaction engagement with so many people, and the generosity that I've experienced as well from so many. So yeah, if and with your permission, obviously, then we might weave in some of those key kind of, I don't know, visual kind of markers that'd be really great to be represented there. So if you have any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me, and my email, I think, should be in the description, and it'll be on the Turner website, and we're going to have something that you can submit these images to as well. I think we will have kind of a Google Drive based kind of submission link, as well as, you know, we can also use Dropbox and different things, but, you know, if you just even want to email it in, that's fine as well. And yeah, I'd love for you to take part. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear people's stories and their experiences, and, you know, just the way in which we support each other, really. Yeah, and, you know, we will look after and take care, treat with care, the stories and the narratives that we share. So I hope you have a great day. And as I said, I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to seeing what you submit. And yes, thank you so much for your interest as well. Again, bye.